Let's pay homage to the lineage gurus. Homage to the Venerable Monk Liaoming. Homage to Master Sakya Zhengkong. Homage to His Holiness the 16th Karmapa. And homage to Master Dubden Darji. Homage to the three jewels of the altar. Homage to the main deity of Homa today, Golden Mother of the primordial jade pond. Sumo. Danzhen Katso, Tutan City. All Dharma masters, Dharma educators, Dharma teachers, Dharma lecturers, Dharma assistants, directors of temples and chapters, and all disciples present here and over the internet. Good afternoon, everyone. How do you do?
Aishiteru. Sharanage. Hola, amigo. Te quiero mucho. Sugoi. Ichiban. Kimochi. Jumi. Yapi. Prin. Konnichiwa. 那现在通知大家
I would like to announce April already.
下个礼拜天就是4月3日下午3点
Next Sunday, April 3rd at 3 p.m.
刚好我们这里做清明节做清明节
That's the Ancestors' Day.
那也就是用
So
王菩萨的护摩
we have Siddhigarbha Bodhisattva, the Earth Store Bodhisattva,
在这个
Homa fire offering ceremony.
清明节的时候
During the Ancestors' Festival,
如果有这个
the Twin Lotus Columbarium,
位在里面的
if you have
清明节的时候
purchased some
藏王菩萨的
spot
法会
at the columbarium,
一定要报名
you need to register for the Siddhigarbha Bodhisattva Homa fire offering ceremony. So it's the same as praying to the ancestors or to the ones staying at the columbarium for their bardo deliverance. So last night at the Seattle Lechang Temple, I have talked about Siddhigarbha Bodhisattva, that he's the one that Sakyamuni Buddha entrusted. He's one of the 8 great bodhisattvas. So he's not only in hells, but in each of the 6 realms of the rebirth cycle. The heavenly realm, Asura, human, hells, hungry ghosts, and animal realms. There are Siddhigarbha Bodhisattva in each of these realms to be in charge of. So I welcome you attend or participate in the Homa fire fire offering ceremony of Siddhikapa Bodhisattva for the ancestors' festival.
3月30号
On March 30th, Wednesday at 2 p.m.,
有举办
the Rinpo Temple has organized
宝忏
the Great Compassion Repentance
很多
Ceremony
上师跟法师
at the Rinpo Temple
忏
that is
当
led
天有
by
网络直播
masters and
同步拜忏，
Dharma teachers.
欢迎所有的信众
And there will be webcasts also, and
都
we
能够参
welcome
加法会。
your participation for the
3月
ceremony.
30号
March 30th, Wednesday at 2 p.m.
彩虹雷藏是有清明节大悲宝忏
For the ancestors'
法师
festival,
礼忏
there will be the Great Compassion Repentance Ceremony
不拜
led by many masters and reference.
通知。
And there would be webcasts also. That is a special announcement.
今天呢，我们做瑶池金母的法会。
Today we perform Golden Mother Homa Fire Offering Ceremony.
护摩宝殿里面呢，也坐满了人，
Inside this Homa Hall,
座无
it's completely full.
没有空的位置，
It's full house.
空的位置就把椅
Not
子收起来。
even an empty spot. If there is an empty chair, please take it away.
这个才叫座无虚席。
Then we can say it's completely full house.
只有2、3个，差不多只有2、3个，不用收了。
Only 2 or 3 empty chairs, so no need to take them away.
今天的人也是最多啊，
And we have the most people today,
来参加的最多。
the most people attending in attendance today.
那大家知道瑶池金母已经讲过很多次，
And we all know of Golden Mother. I've talked about her many times. And truly, she's Grandmaster's first
大罗金仙，
golden sage
大罗金仙。
that Grandmaster
因
encountered.
为我的这些
And
的这种力量，
because of the power of the spirits, my spiritual power also came from her.
下降
Golden Mother descended.
很少有的事情。
It's a very rare occasion.
他来给我启发，然后我走向了这个
And she developed me.
路子，全部是由瑶池金母，一直到现在。
She inspired me to start
6岁
on my path until now. At that time, I was 25 or 26. I wasn't sure if it's
知道，但我
25 or 26.
服务在路
All I remember was I was
在那里，
providing, or I was working at the
在这
Upa
之前，
58
那么我就是基督教徒。
East Survey
在
team.
这之后，
And before that, I was a
改
Christian.
变了我的这个，因为瑶池金母来让
I changed after my encounter with Golden Mother
让你开了天眼，看了
because
我看了
Golden Mother started me on this path and opened my divine or third eye
回到这个
and to see my origin
宿舍的时候，
and Golden Mother. And then when I went back to my dorm,
是看到
I watched for the whole
天
night
的早上，
from 9 p.m. until the next morning.
地下，
Everything that's happening in heavens and
然后
on
看到
earth.
自己的这
And
个
I also had the vision of my origin which is Padma Kumara or the lotus youth. It was the same night, the night of the same day. That night. So that was 26. Up until now, it's been 52 years since. So what happened then is still so vivid in my mind. At that time, I did not know anything. So the dark blue or dark green dressed lady in the temple told me, just kneel down and you will know about it all. And I thought, what? Just by kneeling? And sure enough, as soon as I kneeled down, so I continued. I persisted until now. It's my whole life. So my whole life is completed, dedicated to this Buddhist path. I've learned a lot of things. And like what I said last night, the most important thing is to have a pure mind, pure heart and mind. That's the most important. To prove the Buddha nature, to truly attain or have the pure mind, only then it's called the true attainment. It's extremely difficult. Although I can say that I have established a religious school, and through my own personal spiritual journey, it is not an easy matter. Every spiritual cultivator should pay attention to this. You should not have any selfishness or ego. A Buddha is perfect in his realization and actions. And bodhisattvas strive for Buddhahood above and benefit sentient beings below. They should also have no selfishness, no self-interest at all. Everything is completely for others. But it's the opposite for the whole world. Everyone is for themselves. They think for themselves. They don't think or they don't consider others. They only see the shortcomings or the negative sides of others. They never think about the negative sides of themselves. But as Buddhists, we are the other way around. Otherwise, what use is practicing Buddhism? You can just be a mundane being then. Practicing Buddhism is to always look at yourself, to reflect upon yourself, to think about yourself. What are you thinking about? The shortcomings, the flaws, the faults, and the negative parts should be corrected, and that is spiritual cultivation.
那你老是看别人的缺点，
But instead, you're always looking at the shortcomings of other people, but they are none of your
这
business.
是别人的因果啊。
That's irrelevant to you. That's the karma, cause and effect of those people.
看看自己，
So instead, you should look at yourself.
你自己做了什么因，你就会
What
受什么。
causes have you planted that you would suffer the retributions or the effects? So you should observe yourself, not others.
那个缺点，那个缺点，你自己
You
的
don't
缺
want to
点，
see the flaws of this person and that person and that person. How about your own flaws? You never think about them.
所以我觉得，想想自己的，
So sometimes
想想，
think about it. What mistakes have I
这
done?
个才叫做
Then you correct them.
这样说，
Only then you're called spiritual cultivator.
我们不要去管它。
And don't worry about other people's.
我们所能够做到，
Don't mind other people's
只是
business.
帮助众生。
All that we can do is to help sentient beings.
这是一个很重要啊。
This is a very
刚刚你
important
讲的也是这样子，
point.
《金刚经》
And the Vajra Sutra also talks about this.
看别人的缺点，
Don't always focus on the flaws
我也知道，
of other people. You should observe your own flaws and faults. I know my own flaws,
这个道理
and I gradually correct myself.
了解经验。
And I have also received lots of, I have learned a lot also, and also from Grandmaster, from Golden Mother.
走了这条众生的路，
As I walk this path
要苦众生的苦，
of sentient beings, then I should suffer the sufferings of sentient beings.
既然你走了这条众生的路，
Since you have walked the path of the sentient beings, then you should suffer the sufferings of sentient beings. So when a sentient being suffers, it's the same as you are suffering.
解除众生
And
的。
then you want to help alleviate that suffering.
所以我们讲慈悲喜舍，
So we talk about loving kindness, compassion, joy, and equanimity.
大家怀
Loving kindness is to give happiness to everyone, to others.
就是要解除人
And compassion
悲
is to alleviate the suffering of
他
others.
人的苦。喜呢，
And joy
随分随喜，
is to do them with joy,
随
just
自己的意
with
念
the flow,
去做这些事情，
naturally, without force.
就是舍
So
掉
just following your wish naturally with joy to do them. And equanimity is to forsake your own lives and to equally treat all sentient beings.
啊，不能说这件善事我喜欢做，我就去做。
You can say
喜
that,
欢做我就
oh,
不做。
I like to do that good deed, but not this good deed. You shouldn't be like
都要
that.
帮忙，
You want to help any single
这
being,
叫做平等。
anybody, then that would be called equanimity.
不要以为说他看起来很
Don't think this way that that one is despicable.
你就不
I
去
don't
帮助
like that person, so you will not help that person.
还是要去帮助他，
You still need to
这
help
叫做平
them.
等心。
Then that would be called equanimity.
所以大部分的人，大家都知道慈悲，
Most people know about loving kindness and compassion,
也会，
and they also know joy, but they don't
这
quite
就是平等。
comprehend equanimity. Equanimity is the same as equality.
你喜欢的人，不喜欢的人，
Whether you like them or not,
陌生的人，
or perhaps even completely foreign to you,
这才是叫平等。
you still want to help them all.
要是节目
That's equal,
是这样的，
equality. This is important. This is what Gautam Buddha taught me.
我讲个笑话吧。
Let me share a joke.
之前有一个算命的大师说，
Before there's a fortune teller that said,
为情所困，
I am being bound by love, and I thought it was romantic life, but it turned out to be the pandemic. It's a homophone in
真的
Chinese.
我们生活中啊，
Really,
上师啊，
our Buddha school masters or
或
reference
者同门呐，
or
真的是
disciples,
为情所困，
they were all
是为
being
满同情，他们没有办法去体化。
by the pandemic.
原来是跑世界到世界
I'm
各国
empathetic
去
toward masters,
就是这两
masters who've been going all over the world to spread the Dharma. But for this past 2 years, they were tied down at the Seattle temple, and they have completely empty pockets, and they drink the northwest wind.
那本来大家都是可以到世界各地去弘法，或者很多人来参加法会，
And
都不能来。
we could have gone to the
疫情
different parts of the world to spread the Buddha Dharma, and many disciples could have come here, but instead they were limited, restricted by the pandemic.
求每
And I've been praying for it for
每一场
the
我都求
2 years.
求
At every ceremony, I always ask,
哦，刚刚谈到这个求的，
talking about prayers.
再讲一个笑话啊。这个单位
Let me share you another joke. There's a new female co-worker that
他的
at the office, and she introduced herself and said
欢喜，
her name is Joy.
所有的同事都讲哇，欢喜，好好。
And all the
出生的时候
co-workers say, "Oh, that's wonderful, joy."
高兴，
So when you were born, your parents must be happy. That's why call you Joy.
女同事她讲说，我还没有讲我的姓氏，
But the new employee said, "But my family name is, well, in Chinese is White."
就白欢喜。
But this homophone means like
我在想啊，
no,
真的，
like no joy. So really,
真的欢喜不起来，
this pandemic,
白欢喜。
this 2-year pandemic, we cannot be joyful. It's really no joy.
怎么过的？现在进入你问我答。
Now we'll do the question and answer.
马来西亚莲花
Question
俊，
from Malaysia, 莲花顺境
真英俊的俊，他们
生俊
这个妙音佛母的尊法
asking about Saraswati or Lokeswara.
有分别啊。妙音佛母
the goddess of marvelous sound and the goddess of eloquence, are they the same? And are their mantras have the same function or effect? I have received the empowerment of the goddess of marvelous sound, so can I perform the boundary protection of the goddess of eloquence? I have read a Grandmaster's book about the boundary protection practice of the goddess of eloquence. It is another Chinese homophone. And place the water in front of Saraswati and recite the mantra. The mantra 37 times, then sprinkle the water to all directions in the altar. Thank you for your advice and teaching. The question, so Saraswati or Lokaswara, which is the goddess of marvelous speech, is this the same as the goddess of eloquence? Actually, Saraswati has many names. Many names. The goddess of eloquence is also the goddess of marvelous speech, Buddha Mother with marvelous speech, goddess of with beautiful sound, goddess of arts and skills, goddess of arts and talents, all her epithets. In Hinduism, she's very famous, very popular, Saraswati or Lokaswara. Hindu Trinity is Vishnu and Brahma and Shiva or Mahaswara. They are the Trinity or the three greatest gods of Hinduism. And below them is Mahasri or Lakshmi, and then Saraswati or Lokaswara. So the goddess, auspicious goddess, and the eloquent goddess. And then we have Kali and Uma. And Hanuman, the monkey god. They are the major gods in Hinduism. So Saraswati, or the goddess with great eloquence, is extremely popular, famous. It's also in Buddhism. When Sakyamuni Buddha was alive on earth, that Saraswati was the goddess of the Ganges River. So the Buddha highly revered Saraswati, and her mantra, the heart mantra of Saraswati, so Om Saraswati Soha, that's called name mantra. So then her name is Saraswati. The mantra is Om Saraswati Soha. And the mantra of the goddess of eloquence in the So this mantra and the general or the heart mantra of Saraswati have the same functions? Of course, because they are the same. The goddess of eloquence and the goddess of marvelous speech. It's the same. Om Saraswati Soha. It's the same mantra and the same effect and function. There are many mantras. And after you set up her altar, you place a glass of water in front of Saraswati. This is homophobe. The goddess of eloquence, and we said the mantra. 但是在吸力、密力、直力、气气力、耍，此咒共持37遍，偏洒在坛城的四方。For 37 times, and sprinkle the water to all directions in the altar. And this is the most secret boundary protection of Saraswati. And that's the secret altar of Saraswati, and you need to do such boundary protection. Saraswati. Grandmaster often call upon her name. Grandmaster also highly revere her. In my painting room, I remember there is an image, a statue of Saraswati. She is also the goddess of arts and literature. She is holding a lute, musical instrument, Veena. In the flying devis, in the heaven of marvelous speech, she's always there. And in Chinese, the musical instrument is called pipa, which sounds like a fruit that we can eat. Was that offered by Master Huijin, Saraswati, that you give to me? It's best if you give me a slim one, but that one is very voluptuous. Saraswati is extremely beautiful. When I saw her personally, she's extremely beautiful and very slim, not as voluptuous as the one you give. So you like this? People of the same flocks fly together. So let me ask you, so the statues that you have on your altar are all very as heavy as you are? Why did you give me that? And she's completely naked too. Is it right? Yes. This is so strange. So the mantras have the same effect and function. We just talk about this joke. The afflictions of human beings come from forgetting about their own problems and always minding other people's business and worrying about the problems of God. So it's very easy to be at ease and at peace. It's just to mind your own business, never minding other people's business, and not worrying about the problems of God. So when you're in a bad mood, what you should ask yourself is whose problem, whose business is it? So just mind your own business. Don't mind other people's business. On her birthday, she's very hopeful about the gift that the husband gave to her. So last year, the husband said, "Tonight you don't need to wash the dishes," and I was so touched all night. And then the year before, he gave me $100 more. So, like I buy some French fries to celebrate. And for my birthday this year, he gave me a special break for 1 hour. And I was so touched. But then I asked myself, where should I go for this 1 hour? And 1 hour break, a 1 hour break. Now, we'll talk about the main topic. Last night we talked about chapter 23, doing good with a pure heart and mind. And here, the Buddha asked Subhuti again, Subhuti, in Anuttara Samyak Sambodhi, all Dharma is equal without any distinction. So this Dharma is called Anuttara Samyak Sambodhi. Practicing all good Dharma without any notion of self, other sentient beings, and lifespan will result in Anuttara Samyak Sambodhi. Subhuti, the Tathagata says that the so-called good Dharma is not good Dharma. It is merely named good Dharma. So, the good Dharma, the Tathagata says, is not good Dharma. Because it is not good Dharma, therefore it is good Dharma. So we should all understand this by now, because Sakyamuni Buddha has spoken this way many times, and I have explained them many times. So you all know what it means. But let me explain it briefly. The so-called Anuttara Samyak Sambodhi is the way I pronounce it is the way my mom pronounced it. This is in Taiwanese. But in Mandarin Chinese, I like the pronunciation of my mother. So I'm used to that. Yeah. So all Dharma is equal without any distinction. Oh, everything. Think about it. Buddha nature is
无
equal.
有高下。
No distinction, no high and low.
你的佛性跟我的佛性是
Your Buddha nature is equal to my Buddha nature. There is
没有哪里
no
高哪里低的，
high or
没
low.
有等级的。
There is no leveling.
看看好，我们谈到这个，我们整个宇宙，整个大的宇宙。
Let's talk about the whole universe.
哪里是上，哪里是下？
So which one is up, which one is down? That's only differentiated by
上
human
下本来
beings.
是人来分别，
Up and
住
down
在地球的哪？
are defined by human beings.
住在地球的上方吗？
So which
还是下方？
part of the earth do you live in?
其实我们每一个人
Above or below?
脚啊，都踩在地球上。
Actually, for all of us,
我们的脚，
our feet are on earth. On the
但
earth.
是如果翻转过来，
So the earth is below us, but the earth
地球在我们
is revolving.
我们
So is the earth above us? So we are below the earth?
是圆形的东西啊。
It's a round thing.
所以我们很简单讲，你这个
So simply said,
地球
a small grain of sand of the Ganges River. The earth is just like a grain of sand of the Ganges
九
River.
大行星，
And the scientists believe that the solar system of the 9 or 8 planets
什么这个天王星、冥王星、海王星， 然后在底下金木水火土，
all the
水
planets
星啊，土星、火星、
from the Neptune, Jupiter,
金星、木星、
Neptune's,
星，这个
Mars,
然后又到地球
Saturn,
才到轮到
Pluto,
九大行星这样子排列，
the Earth,
其中还有很多卫星，另外还有很多流星。
and there are many planets, satellite planets around them
多
too
的人造卫星，
in the sky. And nowadays there are many man-made satellites too.
你到底在哪里呀？
So it's hard to count. Where are you
还
with
讲
respect to the whole universe?
九大行星之外是有结界的，这九大行
And
星
now
太阳系是有结界的。
we were talking about the heliopause outside or on the boundary of our solar system.
因
The
为
planets Mercury, Venus, Mars,
因为那边的太阳的
Mars,
光
Jupiter,
照不到
Saturn,
这里，
Uranus, and Neptune.
所以你才不觉得有太阳。
And there are 100
所以有
suns,
100个太阳系，
but we don't feel it because their suns don't shine on us.
所
So
以以前学测
the
也写过
hypothesis there are 100 suns. In my survey
那就是这样。
engineering, I also studied about
维林克制时间，
observations of the stars.
叫维林克制，
And in Greenwich
以那个时间
time,
为准。
a small village, Greenwich
然
in
后
England,
在那个时间之
we
内，
used
哪一
that
颗
time,
星会飞
and at
过
a
你的
certain hour, certain
在
time,
底下这个水
which
晶盘里面看，
planet or star will pass by,
探测天后的这个
and then we are watching the scope,
学习那个观
the
测，
telescope
格林维治时间，
at a certain Greenwich time,
有一颗
GMT,
星会进到你里面来，
at which hour, minute, and second,
是一等星，
and then there would be a star passing by, and then the brightness
越暗淡，
is its scale from scale 1 to 4, 1 being the brightest.
它有名字，都登记在这个
Uh,
天文学的里面册子里面。
and they were all
一
recorded
个星通通都，
in the astronomy
你知道宇宙有
book
多
on
大？
astronomy.
大的，
All of
每
the
颗星都
stars
有名字的。
So how big is the universe? And each star that has been discovered by human beings have names associated with it. When you discover a new star without name, and if it is you are the one that discover the star, then the star would be named after your name. So each of these planets or stars would have a name, and they are discovered through the telescope, and Grandmaster did too. And I was wishing for a Sungyan-Lu star, but all that I saw already have names associated with it. So you would know what stars or planets will pass through the observatory. So the equipment is called the observatory of the night sky. So Grandmaster has learned that too, that the universe is boundless, infinite. But during the time of Sakyamuni Buddha, which is 2,600 years ago, he already knew that there are 3,000 great thousand worlds, and one small thousand world so 3,000 of the small thousand world is the same as the one medium thousand world, and 3,000 of the medium thousand world is the same as the one great thousand world, and then 3,000 great thousand world is the same as the whole universe. So Sakyamuni Buddha already talked about the 3,000 great thousand worlds. And the earth is just a very small world. And 3,000 worlds is just one small thousand world. And then 3,000 of it to become a medium one. And 3,000 of the medium one is the same as one great one. And then 3,000 of that, just imagine how many of them. So during the era already, Sakyamuni Buddha was not a human being, he was a Buddha. So what he talked about, the grains of sand of the Ganges River, and each grain of sand is the same as a Ganges River. So how many sand, how many more sand there are? Just imagine. So 3,000 great thousand world and the whole universe. How big is it? How can you differentiate them? Impossible. Impossible. Anuttara Samyak Sambodhi. It's impossible to differentiate. It's like the whole cosmos, including everything, the 3,000 great thousand world. How can you make distinction between high and low? They are all equal. So Sakyamuni Buddha was truly remarkable. The brain of a human being will not be able to fathom that, but Sakyamuni Buddha was not a human being, was not a normal human being. So he already talked about the 3,000 great thousand worlds. Who could have imagined it? Only the wisdom of the Buddha can know it. That's why what he talked about was the ultimate truth. So this Dharma is equal with no distinction. Only then it is called Buddha nature, because there is no self, others, sentient beings, and lifespan. If you practice all good Dharma based on this, that would be unconditional. You don't do anything for any reasons. You do it for money? No. You do it for name or fame? No. then why do you do it? For no reasons at all, no whys. That's the same as no self, no others, no sentient beings, and no lifespan, and then practicing all good dharma. So Anuttara Samyak Sambodhi is to help sentient beings. Subhuti, the so-called good dharma, now we're talking about the good dharma. The so-called good dharma is not good dharma according to the Tathagata. It is merely named good dharma. Just for the sake of a term, it's called good dharma. But why is it not good dharma? We are doing good deeds. Why is it not called good dharma? Many doctors would say that I'm doing good, I'm saving beings, human beings, I'm saving sentient beings, I'm a doctor, I alleviate your suffering, I cure your illness, I cure your cancer, and all sorts of illnesses. And many doctors at the major hospitals are doing good deeds, and they do. There's a term, right? The doctors save sentient beings, alleviating the sufferings. They don't care about rewards. So I just do work like I'm a famous doctor. I go to Africa and to provide service there without asking for money or rewards. So giving to sentient beings, helping sentient beings, that's good deeds, right? Is it good deed? Think a little deeper. So contemplate it. Ponder it a little bit more. Is there any patient that you can save so that he doesn't die? So the salvation or the alleviation is only for a moment. So you alleviate the suffering, but eventually they would still die. The saviors will also die. The ones being saved will also die. All the patients in the hospital will eventually die, and the doctors all will die too. And today, Sung Yen Lu, who's giving Dharma teaching, and says that he is salvaging sentient beings, but Sung Yen Lu will also die. The speaker of Dharma will die. The listeners of the Dharma will eventually die too. I often ask the youngest one here, Tanjan Katsu, how old are you? 19. Please be seated. Kindergarten.
Yeah, kindergarten baby. Kindergarten baby.
19. At such age, I was naive. 100 years later, will you still be here? You should be brave and live to be 120. It's really difficult to live to be 120. But the Venerable Elder Xu lived to be 120. Oh, that's so 120. That's extremely hard.
100年后，说法的也不在。
So 100 years later, the speaker of Dharma is no longer here. The listeners of the Dharma also no longer here. And the youngest one, there are several babies out there too.
还有这个 baby 应该120岁，120年以后，还有人在吗？
So 120 years later, any one of us here will still be here? No, none. The speaker of Dharma will no longer be here. The listeners of the Dharma are no longer here. So what sentient beings have I delivered? And what beings have the doctor saved? So strictly speaking, what is good? None. They're all momentary. Suffering is also momentary. Or alleviating your suffering is also momentary. You have money? That's momentary. It's fleeting. Don't be envious of the rich. It's all fleeting. Don't be envious of the beauty. It's all fleeting. Very soon, you will become an old lady with wrinkles all over, and your teeth will all fall off. Very swiftly, you will have osteoporosis. So see, what kind of good deed is that? So the so-called good Dharma, according to the Tathagata, is not good Dharma. See, Sakyamuni Buddha was remarkable. He knew already. What kind of good is that? None. It's only momentary. At the end, there's nothing. Nothing. At that time, when Buddha nature can appear, then that's no self, no others, no sentient beings, and no time. All gone. So, doing good deed, according to the Tathagata, is not doing good deed. And because it's not doing good deed, it's called doing good deed. Because you do it without any motives. But if you do it with a certain motives, then or certain purpose, then it's not good deeds. So you just do it without any motives, and that's called good deeds. But if you do them conditionally, then that's not good deeds. So the Tathagata says, so you do good deeds, but if you do the good deeds with condition, then that's not good deeds, because you do it to gain some fame, to have name. Then what kind of good deed is that? And the doctors are to make money. Sometimes they wear lots of gold and jades. They're embellished with precious items. And I saw a doctor and said, "But this diamond I got from performing surgeries, and they have a gold belt buckle. It's made from pure gold." Oh, not pure gold, but from gold. Taiwanese rich man would have a belt buckle that's made of gold. And I got it from performing appendicitis surgery. And my Rolex watch is from performing brain surgery.
黄金跟钻石跟珠宝打造的这手环，
This bracelet made of gold, diamonds, and jewels is from curing my hemorrhage, someone's hemorrhage.
那你为什么而做？你是为这个而做的。
So
那不是善果。
why did you do them? If for all these things, then that's not good deeds. It's only good deed if you do it for without any conditions or without asking for anything.
那就是真正一时之间的善法。如果来讲，
So if you do it unconditionally, it's a good deed, but momentarily. There is no good deed that lasts forever.
那就是空性。
And the only everlasting good deeds or good dharma is the empty nature. So when you truly practice your own true brightness or clear light radiance,
保持你心中的光。
that's complying with the universe. That's called Anuttara Samyak Samadhi. So maintaining the clear light radiance of your heart or mind, that's the Buddha nature, and that would be the true good dharma.
通通都不是。
And the rest, as for the rest,
而且认真
even when you do them unconditionally or not,
六祖慧能讲，
according to the sixth patriarch,
没有善，也
there
没有
is no
在那个时候，
good and no bad.
就是佛性。
Is at that moment where none of the so-called good or bad.
一个
And he actually talks about Buddha nature.
象征一个
In the universe, a grain of sand of the Ganges River symbolizes an earth. So what kind of good deeds are you talking about?
蚂蚁搬大米，
You know, the ants are moving the grains of rice
它也在行善。
to provide relief to other ants. So they are doing good deeds.
拿出
And human beings
祭品去救那个
distributing
这些难民，认为那是善。
disaster relief packages to help
在宇宙之间，
the refugees of Ukraine. That's a good deed, yes. However, with respect to the universe, it's like an ant
蚂蚁的家，蚂蚁窝
carrying grains of
那里
rice
吃饱。
to some other hungry ants to feed them.
想一想，大家想一想，
Mull it over.
你看到蚂蚁搬一只
When you see ants
拿人吃剩
carrying
到
debris
你的家，
of rice
这种事情你看得到吗？
to save other ants,
像我们在做善事，
relieving their famine.
卢森的布施基金会
Do you see them?
把这个救济品送到
So like Sung Yanlu Foundation
那个难民啊，
gave some disaster relief funds or packages
白
to the refugees in Ukraine.
啊寄到
Or Lotus Charitable Society also sent a lot of them to
因为他们没有
Ukraine refugees in Poland
已经变成难民，你不救济他，
because they cannot
这个就是
live. They have become refugees. So how can they continue to live on without
为什么
other people's help?
布施基金
So that's called good deeds.
啊经常去帮
So Lotus Light Charity Society and Sung Yanlu Foundation do them for no reasons, and we are providing disaster reliefs for no particular purpose.
世间的善，
So that's called good deeds
人的善事
for the moment.
佛性，你心
But
中
the everlasting good deed is Buddha nature,
然后
is that the bright radiance of your mind that merge into the the great empty nature of the universe. Only then it is called attainment. And this is what Sakyamuni Buddha was talking about.
我有一个女同事，什么都好，就是懒。
There's a female colleague that's all pretty good except laziness.
她去照顾她。
And how lazy is she?
外婆就好，起床
That the grandma was sick for a couple of months, and so she went to
照顾得好。
take care of her. And only after a few days she got better.
老人家
And everybody praised her
我再不起，
and asked her.
就怕她饿死。
Because the grandma said, "Oh, if I don't get well and get up, that my granddaughter will die of hunger."
修行不能过懒。
So as spiritual cultivators, we cannot be lazy.
这是另外还有一个奥黛丽·赫本
Audrey
赫
Hepburn.
本头，女生流行赫本头。奥黛
Audrey Hepburn was very popular
若要
before.
优美的嘴唇，
Audrey Hepburn said,
讲亲切的话，
"If you want beautiful lips, you want to say kind
就
words.
要看到别人
If you want lovely eyes, you want to see other people's
把你的食
goodness.
分给饥饿。
If you want a slim figure, you want to share your food to the hungry people, with the hungry people."
不要太自私哦。
So, do you understand, Hui Jin? Don't be so selfish, okay?
5岁的小明翻着相册问道
The 5-year-old Xiao Ming was flipping through an photo album, and asked Dad, "Who's this beautiful lady next to you?"
中的那个女孩，
And Dad was looking at the photo,
长相
a young
懦弱，
lady in slim figure, beautiful
不禁自
and
豪地说
generous, and then thought of
小明就嘴巴翘起来，
the wife used to be, "That's your mom."
真的讲，
And then Xiao Ming
那个胖子果然不是我亲妈。
look at the one in the fat lady in the kitchen and said, "Oh, that fat lady is not my mom."
美丽也是一时哦，
See, even beauty is
也
fleeting.
是一时哦。你看她现在漂亮，
So beautiful look is also fleeting. You think someone is beautiful right
为什
now.
么不用白骨观？
Why don't you use the visualization of white bones?
因为观不出白骨，
Because
观
the white bones don't appear. You only see the white skin, white flesh.
啊，这个笑话我讲过了，但是还是再讲
I have told this joke before, but let me tell it again.
啊，他坐在捷运上，有一对小情侣，
He's on the subway,
头痛，
on the
男生就在女生的头额头
and the woman said, "Oh, I have headache."
还痛，
And the boy
女生就讲说不，
kissed her head and said, "Still,
女生
how's your headache? It's gone." And then the girl said again, "I have
男
toothache."
生就在女生的
And the boy kissed
吻那一下，
her cheek.
牙齿还疼吗？
"Okay, is it still painful?" And the girl said, "No."
的阿伯，
And then there's a grandma
你有
said, "Hey, young man,
痔疮吗？
can you cure hemorrhage?" Hemorrhage.
我妈那个
Om Mani Padme Hum.